evening, and welcome to the Dreary Midnight Podcast. My name is Lisa, my pronouns are she, they.
My name is Celeste, my pronouns are she, her.
And tonight we're talking about the Wampus Cat with Appalachian anomalies. Let's get into it. Intro music.
Intro music. Had to add some flair to that one.
All right. So what do you know about the Wampus Cat?
Nothing. I've heard of the name, and I'm assuming it's a giant cat that lives in the, I can never say this word, Appalachian region.
Yes.
But I don't know the origin. I don't know any of the stories.
Yeah.
I don't even know how it looks.
So, the Wampus Cat, and if any of you who grew up vaguely Southern or Appalachian and heard the term cattywampus, apparently they are connected. Do you know what cattywampus is?
Not I, said the cat.
Cattywampus is a term for something that's going askew or awry, or it's gone cattywampus. Like, it's not going great.
Got it.
So a Wampus Cat is a large cat, sometimes described with the face of a bobcat and often with 6 legs.
Ooh.
According to how stuff works, it's a combination of a woman and a mountain lion.
What?
Native roughly to central and southern Appalachia.
Okay. If it has the head of a bobcat and the body of a cat, or how is it a mix of a woman and a cat?
We'll get into that.
Okay.
Also, according to how stuff works, it emits an eerily wailing, quote, that strikes terror into the heart of those who cross its path, unquote.
I don't like that.
Sometimes it's bipedal or has the ability to walk on 2 legs for short periods of time. And according to Cryptids of Georgia, the fascinating world of unknown creatures, quote, witnesses say the Wampus Cat is a big, scary animal with the face of a bobcat. It is often pictured as a cross between a cat and a person with long, sharp claws and teeth. Its bright yellow eyes that can see through the dark make it stand out. People who saw the creature say it has a robust and feline body adorned with dark, matted fur and a long, curvy tail.
I don't like that. That's a freaky thing.
It is kind of a spooky thing. That's why it's on Dreary Midnight.
Yeah, I know. But the concept of it being like a human mixed with an animal is freaking me out, man.
Yeah.
Does that mean it has potential for thought?
So there's a few different backstories.
Oh.
So honestly, I think it's giving more flesh pedestrian than anything.
Yeah.
At least some of the backstories are. And this is one
like
where I'm not 100% which backstory I would buy into, mostly because I saw a bunch of different sources, and they all say here are the 2 to 3 main backstories. Cherokee myth is what all of these large stack of secondary sources sitting right next to me are saying.
Oh, yes.
I found a book called History, Myths, and Sacred Formulas of the Cherokees by James Moore. A source that would at least mention it, I would think, does not mention it.
Oh.
So...
Unless the book doesn't cover every single
Unless
myth.
It doesn't, yeah. But it's still... I think it is still slightly more European than Cherokee, or at least colonizer, more than Cherokee. So...
Like, do you think that they already had a story like this? Or maybe appropriated something that they might have heard in Cherokee legend, then just kind of like took that and made something else out of it?
I think so. I think that's probably the closest one, or closest thing. So there's 3 main backstories that I saw.
And if anyone is listening and knows the backstory or has heard a backstory and they are of Cherokee descent, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we can get an actual...
And or anyone who grew up hearing about the cattywampus, what were you told?
Yeah.
But so 3 major backstories. First one, a community is having issues with a mountain lion of unusual size. They send out a hunter who comes back in a full panic and has had no success in defeating it. They think this mountain lion is connected to Ewa, the Cherokee spirit of madness, and that's why the hunter comes back so messed up.
Oh.
So his wife puts on the skin of a different mountain lion and decides to track this thing down. She does some sort of magic to connect herself to the skin that she's wearing in some union with the mountain lion's strength and consciousness type of thing. And she successfully defeats the mountain lion of unusual size.
Oh.
Unfortunately, she is stuck in the form that she's taken, and she's often seen only at dusk and dawn because she's stuck in one form during the day and a different form at night.
Oh, like a werewolf type situation.
Kinda. Yeah.
Oh.
Second,
that's sad because she was just trying to help.
Yeah.
She had no malintent, and then she ended up...
Yeah, and then no story on what happened to the husband either.
Well, I'm assuming he didn't stay with her if she's wandering.
Yeah.
The woods.
But, like, did he sort out the spirit of madness situation?
Maybe he never did. Maybe they both ended up with very miserable lives.
In very different ways. But she's also apparently had to wander the woods for centuries and centuries as well.
That's
which is
true.
a different kind of torture.
Yeah. I would assume maybe he stayed mad because maybe... that otherwise, wouldn't he have gone back and tried to kill it?
Yeah.
As opposed to his wife doing it for him.
True.
I don't know.
Yeah. Second potential origin story. A woman was curious what her husband was doing late at night, possibly worried that he's cheating on her. He told her that he's going to some sort of ritual or council or elder time.
And this was also Cherokee.
Allegedly Cherokee, yeah. And anyway, he says he's in group for some sort of situation, and she's not in group, so she's not allowed to go. But she wants to see for herself, confirm one way or another. And she follows him, snooping around, wearing the skin of a large cat to disguise herself. She eventually finds him with the community elders. They are, in fact, doing a ritual that she's not in group, so she's not allowed to see it. She gets found out because she's just, like, crouching in the bushes with a mountain lion skin. But as punishment, she's cursed to wear the skin forever.
Oh.
The sort of side tangent, sort of offshoot one that I only saw in one or two sources was that, so this is sort of 2B or 2A, not quite the full third one yet, but 2B or 2A is that she is a magic user of some sort, and she can turn herself into a mountain lion at will, and is up to some sort of shenanigans. She, like, changes at roundabout dusk and goes out, causes shenanigans at night, comes back, changes right about dawn, and acts like she doesn't know what shenanigans she's just pulled. And,
but she does fully remember them.
Yes. And so people figure this out, and she gets caught and ambushed mid-transformation, and it's one of those transformations where you can't be witnessed in order to finish it out, and so she's stuck in that midpoint.
Oh.
Which is the one that kind of gives me Flesh Pedestrian vibes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
That's uncanny.
Yes.
That's why this makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing that I love, the uncanny valley, not quite human, not quite animal.
Things that are just to the left of what they should be.
Ooh. Well, that's creepy.
Also, major plug for Old Gods of Appalachia.
Yes. What is the third?
So the third one
backstory
is something that I only saw in Devil's Tea Tables, West Virginia Ghost Tales, and Other Stories. Quote, according to the old folks, Wampus Cats were not really cats. They were humans who returned from the dead and took the form of a cat. Many people thought they came back to right some wrong. The main backstory in Devil's Tea Tables is the story that they title The Wampus Cat at King Shoals. Okay. Basically, a family built up a small cabin and started to farm kind of near a creek in a holler, a little ways from any sort of civilization. They have 2 boys close together and then a daughter 10 years later.
Do you know around what era this would be?
Did not specify pre-50s-ish at a guess. But it doesn't specify.
Got it.
But they talked to somebody who knew the family kind of thing.
So it wasn't like super
super recent.
It wasn't super recent, but also wasn't like in the 1700s.
Correct.
Got it.
Though some reports are like 1700s, some reports are like 1918. There's a whole lot of pigs being slaughtered and things like that. But anyway, so 3 kids total. The daughter dies at about 6 months old, possibly of scarlet fever. But they don't know for sure because like they go out to get the doctor. The doctor's a day's ride away, and so it's too late by the time they get the doctor back. And so they bury the daughter at the top of a hill. And a few days later, they start hearing these weird, screamy, crying noises. Ooh. And Dad goes up with the dogs just to see what the situation is. They're kind of sniffing about, but not necessarily able to find anything. All right, and so he goes up again. He decides to wait till dark to take the dogs up. Maybe the dogs will pick up the scent of this cat type of thing, because I don't know if you've ever had a cat, but cats can kind of sometimes wail like humans a little bit, or especially babies. So I thought maybe it's some sort of cat who's figured out that situation.
That's terrifying. Also, I have had one cat in my life, but I was like a child and she was chill. She didn't really wail. So
yeah. But the dogs do pick up a scent. They run whatever it is up a tree, and he takes 2 shots at it.
I like how there's no hesitation. He didn't know what it was. He was just like, I'm going to shoot it.
Yeah, well, he did see something kind of moving that looked like a cat, so he's like, okay, I'm going to shoot it.
I'm shoot this cat.
Yeah, because it's if nothing else, it's messing up his favorite child's grave, right?
Yeah.
He does wind up dragging it out and hanging it up in his barn, and it looks like some sort of cross between a woman and a cat. Which is like even weirder, especially after you've shot it. And so he just kind of hangs it in the barn and
I would not take that shit home with me.
Well, he burns it.
Oh.
Because what else are you going to do with cursed shit except burn it, I guess?
Burn it out there, not in your home.
Yeah.
Start a wildfire.
I think he nearly did. But, like, literally it says, sometime during the night, they were all awakened by the farm animals making a ruckus. They look out and they saw that the building where the animal had been hung was on fire. He made no attempt to extinguish it. He just let it burn. There was not a trace of the animal the next morning, but the odor of the burned flesh and hair was evident. So it's very much like I'm just going to let it go at this point.
You know what? You got your animals out.
Yep.
That's all that matters. And
this one ends, the story doesn't end there. There are many people in West Virginia that believe that the Wampus Cat is still around. West Virginia Department of Natural Resources adamantly argues that there are no mountain lions or panthers in the mountain state. Yet big cats are spotted all the time.
Yes. That's creepy.
Yeah.
I thought that I could leave mountain lions behind when I came over here from the West Coast, but apparently not. Because,
yeah,
they do exist in California.
Yeah. Given this information, what do you think it is?
Have there been any recent sightings, like, in general, like, was this more of like a back in the 1800s people saw things? Or?
I think it is more of a colonizing through the turn of the 20th century type of thing. Like, I think at this point it's very much a turn of phrase, very much in like the La Llorona type of thing of don't go that way or such and such is going to get you.
I'm going to look up right here. I'm just going to be... So you said it was like described as like a mountain lion or a panther or something?
Yeah. Cross between either a bobcat and a person or a mountain lion and a person.
Because I wonder if like... Okay. Cougars, it says, are in Virginia?
Are native, yeah.
Yeah, cougars are native to Virginia. So maybe it was just like a bunch of cryptids are just an animal, or the possibility of just an animal that's very large. Yeah. That people kind of start, like, if they're not used to seeing it, they like think it's a lot bigger than it is, or they're frightened by it and they think it's a lot weirder than it is. I'm thinking of like the Beasts of Galveston thing, how it was like a wolf, but people were like, but this is a different evil kind of wolf. Yeah. It could be that. It could be that someone brought a mountain lion.
Yeah.
You know, like they are in the United States.
Yeah.
You can theoretically take a baby mountain lion, bring it to the Appalachian and like region, and then like let it go and then see what happens.
Yeah.
So it could be that, like how the city I grew up in, the town I grew up in, for some reason just has a bunch of peacocks roaming around.
Oh my God.
And
okay.
it's like a tiny little ghetto town in LA that just has peacocks because somebody bought peacocks, let them out, the peacocks started procreating, and then there's peacocks all over the park now.
Okay.
So I think that it could be that.
Yeah.
Like maybe somebody brought a mountain lion.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I guess there would be evidence of that, right? In like the animals, like, because it has to eat something.
Yeah. I mean, I personally kind of like the idea that it's something adjacent to fighting off the bad spirits. But from Atlas Obscura here, in the early days of the 1900s, Wampus Cat was an epithet for a local ne'er-do-well in Fort Smith, Kansas, a mascot for an amateur baseball team outside of Houston, and the moniker of the meanest, wildest, hardest bucking outlaw horse ever seen in Flagstaff, Arizona. $50 said no one could ride him.
So it's not just the Appalachian thing.
It is mostly Appalachia.
But it has also permeated to the other parts of America.
Yeah.
I'm based on what you told me, it sounds like southwestern.
Central to southern Appalachia.
Southern, yeah.
Yeah.
You say Texas, which is southern, but then Arizona is southwest. So it's like getting there. But see, if that's the case, then that one I could totally believe more is cougars and mountain lions.
So Atlas Obscura does go through some actual sightings. It also points out the phrase seems to originate in Scottish English. Wampish was slang for waving one's arms about, though that benign image came with a sense of dangerous unpredictability. Ooh. And in Quitman, Mississippi, where some sort of Wampus Cat type of creature appeared after the floods in 1913, leaving behind 102 dog skeletons completely stripped of fur and flesh.
Ooh!
And in Arkadelphia, Arkansas, which, what a name, a Wampus Cat was terrorizing the community and finally caught in 1914.
Did it look like a woman?
An anonymous reporter just said it was found in the woods.
So my personal theory is that it is a large mountain type cat, similar to how the beast of Gavaudan I think was a wolf and the chupacabra is a dog.
Yeah.
But that's just a theory. I just don't want to believe that there's such a thing as a woman-shaped cat out there. Yeah. That creeps me out.
I mean, a folklorist, Vince Randolph, the folklorist, points out that traces the birth of the Wampus Cat to the death of the North American cougar. The, quote, the most dangerous wild animal that ever lived in the Ozarks. And the cougars were the enemy of the settlers throughout the 19th century, a constant danger to livestock and sometimes children. And by 1900, they were no longer a major threat.
It's the beast of Gavaudan. Yep. If you kill all the wolves and then you see a wolf, it's going to become the unknown, and the unknown is scary, and people make things up about it.
And once an eerie caterwaul in the forest was a warning that a panther lay in wait, Atlas Obscura continues. Now it was evidence of a wampus.
Yes, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This to me is infinitely more interesting. Because it just shows how humanity reacts to things that they don't understand. Yeah,
because again, a lot of those like spooky stories come around like the 20s and 30s. And if this thing is nearly or mostly extinct by the 20th century, then those people don't grow up knowing what that sounds like.
So I'm terrified of bears. I mean, I should be. Yeah. But, like,
don't go chasing bears.
That are like, it's a bear. You know how to act around bears. And I'm like, no, I don't. Help.
I mean, step one, don't approach a bear.
Don't approach the bear.
To be clear, we're talking about the wild animal bear and not anything in queer culture.
I mean, you can approach those.
Yes. in queer culture do approach politely, but out in the wild, don't.
Oh my God.
Official dreary midnight stance. Don't hurt the wildlife. Don't approach the wildlife. Don't do anything with the wildlife.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
Just let it stay that way.
Yeah.
And
official
also,
dreary midnight stance.
Animals don't have the same human rationale and emotions. Stop personifying animals. Like, they're wild animals. They're not going to think you're a friend just because they're not attacking you.
If not friend, why friendship?
Can I pet your dog?
Anyway, so it's a shorter one this time.
But it's so interesting.
It's so cool. I love them. And what do you think the Wampus Cat is? What do you think it is? Send us an email, drearymidnightpodcast@gmail.com.
Please do.
And if you want to support the show with money, support us on Patreon, patreon.com/drearymidnights. Follow us on Instagram. We're getting a little bit more active over there.
Sorry. I'm catching up.
At Dreary Midnight Pod. And with all that said, if not friend, why friend-shaped? And honestly, though,
stay away from mountain lions, cougars, and Wampus cats.
And if an animal has 6 legs, it is not your friend. And safe travels home on this dreary midnight. Good night.
Good night.